Good morning, students. On this nice Midwest morning, I'm technically in Wisconsin. That's where I live, but today we're really talking about Minnesota. So you can see that I wore my Minnesota sweatshirt for you today. And we're talking about Northern Lights Chapter 11, which is flour, lumber, and iron. So Minnesota has a vast amount of wealth, let's say. A lot of this wealth is because of the resources of the land. So some of the things that you want to understand is in southern Minnesota, you have great farmland. You also have good farmland growing to the prairie side on the western side of Minnesota, where it's a little drier and they can grow wheat. So everywhere from Minnesota, from let's say St. Paul, south of St. Paul, and then all the way out to South Dakota and parts of Montana, where it's high plains and stuff, wheat is an excellent product to grow out there, including Nebraska. Minneapolis is the financial business headquarters for a large section of the upper Midwest, going from halfway from in the middle of Wisconsin all the way over to, let's say, Montana in that area, down all the way towards not quite Colorado, because Colorado becomes another center of economic prosperity. In Minnesota, we were lucky here to have an excellent place to grow crops. We grow corn, we grow wheat, but especially wheat was grown in western and southern Minnesota for a long time before we got into this corn thing. And Minneapolis became a natural site for milling it. With the power water of St. Anthony Falls, many mills popped up on the Minneapolis shoreline to crank their mills to mill the flour into the best flour in the world. So I took a little bit of liberty to talk about some of the major corporations that we had, which is Pillsbury. Pillsbury was a flour milling, let's go to Charles Pillsbury, and John Pillsbury formed Pillsbury Company, the Charles A. Pillsbury Company, which we know for products such as biscuit, crescent rolls, cinnamon rolls, and other baked good products. But they started out as millers. So they milled flour into wheat into flour, and then created businesses off of those in products that they delivered, such as biscuits and rolls and stuff like that. It becomes the largest mill in the entire world. And so there's all these things coming together. There's power from the river. There's mills that can be driven by the river. There's great soil to grow wheat, and there's businessmen willing to put their money out to produce flour milling in this area. Later on, General Mills is consolidated by a man named Ford, and takes all these smaller mills and makes a great big conglomerate of mills. So General Mills will become bigger as time goes on. So General Mills actually owns Pillsbury today, but General Mills produces Bisquick, Cheerios, Yoplait, and Haagen-Dazs. Now those last two products were bought later on. You cannot produce Yoplait from wheat, but because of the wheat and the bread and everything else, people made money and they bought out other agricultural products. Gold medal flour, which is the number one flour in the world today. You can even go see a big gold medal sign right off the river in Minneapolis, and that is the world's largest producer of flour today, seller of flour, I should say. So this is how flour, soil, land, and business brought wealth to Minnesota. Now that's just the flour aspect. Even today, you guys have heard of Gold Medal flour, probably, Bisquick products, General Mills, which produces a lot of breakfast cereals, and Pillsbury. All of these things are from Minnesota that are spread throughout the world. Okay, so that's one of the ways that we get our wealth, from flour, lumber, and iron. Next, we'll be talking about lumber. Okay, have a great day, Minnesota.